What's up, guys? We are back, episode number 3 of the Idle Hour podcast. Um, Coming live from both of our moms' basements. Um,
Absolutely.
no, just kidding. Joe's in Nashville, and I'm in just outside of Naples, Florida, for now. Um, we just did episode number 2 with Perry Model. That one's about to come out. What do you think, Joe? Next couple of days here?
Should be tomorrow.
All right, by tomorrow, episode 2. Look out for that. We'll share the link. That was a fun chat about some of the old school stories and some giant bucks. But this episode is going to be a little bit different. So, something that's pretty different about this podcast in relation to other series you may hear that cover outdoor material. Joe and I both have a heavy foot in the art world. And in our lives, there's a very big overlap between the outdoor world and the art world. And interestingly, there's a ton of crisscrossing people on both sides of that. You know, clients that have become good friends and hunting buddies and people we get out in the woods with, and vice versa. We figured we've got a couple guests coming up in soon to be episodes that are, you know, a few of them are in the art world, a few of them are famous artists. So let's take like 10 steps back, Joe, and
Yeah.
you really you really got your immersion into the art world kind of like all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of a wild ride. Kind of diving back to how Cody and I met. We were selling furniture at Ashley, and I heard all these stories about his brother Colt and his dad Dick, and just kind of the foothold they have on the art world, especially in kind of the Western scene. But I heard a lot about the art stuff. Cody had left and gone down to Florida and had started working with David Riley and doing his print program. I tried to get him there, kind of learn some of the art game. Did a ton of cold outreach to try and build some wholesale accounts. And eventually, through a bunch of challenging moments in life, kind of ended up in a weird spot. David was doing a show at Safari Club International. Cody was there selling, and ended up calling out of work that day. Told him I was sick, and just kind of wanted to be there for that moment. And kind of got my first exposure to seeing David's work out there on public and on display. Some of his original oil paintings. And through that event, I met Steve Zabel, who owns Montana Trails Gallery in Bozeman. And Steve became a mentor for me, and I really got to learn the art world from him. Not to mention he's a pretty good hunter as well and does some pretty cool stuff out in Montana. But being in that world, kind of seeing it firsthand, and then having the opportunity to go out to Bozeman was really cool. But Cody, when did you see the switch for me that you could tell there was a progression in the art space?
Honestly, I mean, to give a little context to the audience here, I had a background in the art world. My family has an art gallery up in Montana. My dad and my brother are artists. We've sold art for many years, and I've basically been involved in that business for a long time. So when Joe and I met in Nashville in 2020 and we began talking about it, um, I think at the time, Joe probably thought I was full of hot air, because this stuff doesn't seem real. What we've come to realize is that the art world, I'd say like upper 90 something percent of people out there are interested in art of some form.
Mm-hmm.
But yet when it comes to the business of art and that side of it, it's like a foreign language to pretty much everyone who's not directly involved in that industry. Like, how does this really work?
Totally.
And how do you have a painting over here that is $1 million and this one's 500,000 and this one that looks similar to that one's worth 5,000? How do we get there? How do these values? These seem like arbitrary numbers. I mean, art can be confusing. So I mean, I think when I really saw the shift, we talked about it. We worked on some David Riley stuff for a couple years, and then when you went out and spent the summer in Bozeman at Montana Trails, I just noticed this. It immersed you into the art world all the way in for the first time,
Hmm.
and you met all these other artists and built relationships, and were going to collectors' homes and building relationships there, and somewhere right in there, it just started going, and
Yeah.
obviously we both have heavy affiliation with Knox Cronenberg, who we
Hmm.
look forward to having on the podcast here. And now you're working with my brother, Colt Idol, um, and stuff here and there with David Frederick Riley, as well as some other artists. But it's been bizarre. And what I want, like, our listeners to know, I mean, when I say the overlap goes both ways, there's a friend of the family now that was an art client of my brother's, starting about 10 years ago. And that guy ended up buying some work and then later inviting us out to his, ranch that's inside the King Ranch, and led to us like going out there and hunting every year on the King Ranch for now going on 8, 9 years. And that all came from an art starting point.
Totally.
Um, and so much of that has happened over the years where it's like outdoor acquaintance becomes an art client becomes an outdoor friend, where we go on hunts or we go on some kind of trip. um, so it's just super interesting, the overlap. It's much larger than I thought, and I don't know how to quite put my finger on it. It's like there's an overlap in the things there, that between art and the outdoors, there's some kind of overlap where both of them are something that pulls at people's heart.
Totally.
And I don't just mean hunting. I mean, you might say you have the same feeling when you look at you know, a Cult Idol night scene, moonlit night scene, as you do if you sat out next to the fire and looked up at a sky full of stars,
Yeah.
with hearing a wolf howling off in the distance. Like, you might say, I don't know how to put my finger on it, but I had similar emotions when I experienced those things.
Oh, for sure. And something cool, kind of expanding on that point. There's a lot of incredible landscape painters as well that I got to see while I was out in Bozeman. And one that sticks out with me, Nick Fisher was at Highlight Reservoir painting this beautiful landscape scene of, this serene water and just this brilliant sky. But I think what I captured most about being out there is seeing the way that he was able to bring all that together with his use of color and his use of light. But similar to what you were just saying, you feel that emotion, whether it be it brings you back to a certain time in life, or you just feel the emotion of the painter bringing that to life in the canvas. But it's a really cool thing to see. And um if you aren't in the art world yet, and you're kind of on the fence about it, take some time and really watch some people paint, and it's really fantastic to see them bring to life something like that.
Yeah, and for those of you that also that do enjoy art in any capacity, I think you'll have some fun with what we've got coming up. Like, not only,
Mhm.
we're gonna have Colt Idol on here, um, and his work is incredible.
Oh,
But we'll also, in the near future, we'll have David Frederick Riley, who's equally impressive, but in a completely different style. And when you see it, you'll know why. Knox Cronenberg, who is just an exploding photographer that is just storming through his world there. It's really incredible to see. But aside from just the work, we'll take you into some studios where you can actually see this stuff taking place and see the kind of behind the scenes, and get some discussion from these artists on how this stuff really goes down, as well as, at times, the business of art. This isn't
hmm.
a business of art podcast, but it is. Joe and I are seeing things on an everyday basis that are super interesting on the backside of this, from big time clients that have very specific wants and needs, to even to just like the places that art has taken us. I mean,
I mean,
Joe, or yeah, we're one of us
yeah,
is we're going somewhere like almost every week.
yeah. I mean, so far this year, we're about 6 months in, done. You and I were in Beaver Creek together. I was out in Jackson Hole, show at Nashville with SCI. You and I were both out Scottsdale Art Week. You know, back to Fort Worth, Austin, South Florida. I mean, we've kind of covered quite a bit of ground, and especially, with you and I driving quite a bit of the art all over, we get to see a lot of the country, which is also cool because we get to scope out areas that we might want to go hunt as well.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I'm glad to have actually a little break here from the travel.
Yeah,
I think I've told everybody multiple times, but I went to all 50 states last year, and I was in 4 different countries, and then I've been to 27 states and 3 provinces this year so far, and it's what, May 26th. Um, and I finally had a couple week break here. Now I guess I'm going out to Texas next week, or about a week and a half from now, and then right back after Texas I'm going to Montana for about 10 days. But um it's just cool. So we wanted to get on here and share a little bit about that. I know I'll speak just for myself. there's a I'm sure there's a lot of folks that would say, oh, Cody's a whitetail guy, or specifically big antlers, whatever. There will be a ton of that, and there will be the old stories, and we got some amazing guests from the outdoor world that are coming. um, so it's not to say that we're going to divert away from that, but there's some really interesting things that we want to share. So it might be 4 episodes about big whitetails in the outdoors, and then it might be one with an artist. I don't know, but um, either way, it's like we're interested in interesting things, and if we can share them and have access to them, we absolutely will. Um, Man, what else, Joe? We've got you and I were just talking about how um, it is. It's May 26th. The Antler Craze, the general
getting
movie,
close.
July 4th. We are just around the corner here. Feel like I'm going crazy because it's it's like being a racehorse looking down the track, but the gate's still closed. I'm just waiting for the chute to open.
Totally.
Um, and I'm just so excited for it to be here. So I've had a lot of folks ask me in the last couple weeks, like when, and where. Make no mistake about it. We will show it everywhere. How to find it, where it'll be, where you can see it, um, and really excited about that. Plus, Joe, this is kind of fun. Joe had the fun experience of designing our next shirt. We've got the OG shirts. Let's see which one I got on here. Just says Original General. But Joe just designed a really sweet one that actually takes this logo, and we have those on the way soon. So we'll drop those soon, and you'll see them on OG and all our socials and everything, and we'll have a link for them here.
Probably featured on the podcast sooner than later.
I would venture to guess that there's a very good chance of that.
Absolutely. What else do
Yeah.
you have going on? Do you have any hunts planned for the rest of the year?
Well, it's like I was slammed for my hunting schedule, and then as sometimes fate has it, uh, I won't say his name just out of for any kind of reason, but I mean a mutual friend of ours, someone that I would be hunting with in multiple things coming up soon, had an injury, so
Mm-hmm.
um, that kind of put the kibosh on at least 3 trips that I know of.
Yeah. And two of
So
which we were going on together.
yeah,
But
yeah, but stuff in life happens, and I'm glad he's okay. And
absolutely.
that's what's most important. But outside of that, yeah, I've got one more in Texas. I'm supposed to go to Kansas. I've got that one up in upstate New York. Um, possibly getting up to Canada this year, and
Oh, and then South Texas in the fall.
yep, South Texas in the fall, and then if it works out, I do this like every year. But if I have any kind of gap in the schedule that I, you know, didn't know I was going to have, I can always fall back and go hunt in Montana for, go home for like a week or two and go hunt. So it's starting to look like that might be what I do here. Probably in October though. I just get out there for the rifle season, and it's either way, it's really adventurous country. You know, my hometown is northwest corner of the state, so it's big Rocky Mountain, big timber country, and either way, just love being out there. So no, I don't have any as many fancy things like last year we did New Zealand and Mexico, and
Mm-hmm.
we did Kentucky and Missouri, and Texas, and I mean there was just it was a little bit the schedule was a little bit more organized last year, but this year has been
Yeah,
a little bit more shows and podcasts and films and products and um but I guess you could say work hard, play hard. So we're
absolutely.
sometimes that's just the way it goes. We have more stuff on our plate than we can handle right now. So um
Now, going back to the film, do you have anything kind of fun centered around the release yet? Or is there anything in the works?
well, I don't know the final details yet. I'm actually kind of waiting to hear. It sounds like we are going to do a release party.
Yeah.
Um, and my guess would be that it's going to be up probably closer to where Josh is from.
Hmm.
So I mean, more than likely the release party itself will be in West Virginia.
Yeah.
Um, so which I love it up in that neck of the woods too. But yeah, other than that, I mean, it's interesting. It's like there's a lot I want to say, but there's not. There's a part of it now. We're so close to it being out. Like I just don't want to. I don't want to dive too hard into it. I know there's a lot of folks that are excited about it. Man, I'm so excited about it.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just like we've come this far, and we just have to hold tight for like. I mean, shoot, what is that? That's it. That's a legit like not a full 6 weeks away, is it?
Yeah.
Like it
We're getting
came out,
close.
yeah. If you had all 4 weeks of June, yeah, we're just right at about 5.5 weeks.
Yeah.
So,
Exciting.
um, it'll be fun times, man. And that's like for me, it's like these are God things. These aren't business things. I mean, this is something that's been such a life changing. Everything about this whole process, from the $1 million deal to the OG brand to the making of this film and like everything that's come along with it. It's been life changing,
Totally.
and we don't. It's hard for me to put into words. Like it's not just to some people that are out there that have no idea what we're talking about. To them, it is going to be like, oh, look at a film,
Hmm.
cool. But like for us, it is just, uh, it's hard to even really describe what it means. And honestly, like sometimes I laugh and I'm like, I just want more that when I'm that old guy um telling my kids like here's some crazy stuff that we did back then, and they're all like sure,
Yeah.
and it's
Right.
and, um and it's like no, go watch. Like I swear my dad would be the one right now that, let's say, we've got all the kids in the family now, like they're coming up, they'll have like my dad, they'll have grandpa who's like, yeah, back when I did this with a polar bear and I went there and climbed this mountain. Like the stuff is gonna sound like completely fairy tale made up
Oh,
stuff.
for sure.
But he's the one that you go find out that not only is the story he told like 100% true, but there's a bunch he left out too that makes it even cooler. Like
Exactly.
you know it. So I just want I don't know if I've ever shared this anywhere, but like despite all the different details and everything that went on with like the actual general deal with the sale, one of the first things that I had said when I was made like aware that this was going to be the route we wanted to go, um, I really at first I really didn't care about the money.
Hmm.
I didn't care about, like, I don't care what the sale price is. That's a thing that'll be a headline and all that. But like I had grown up reading all the old stories and following and like idolizing these deer and these like frontiersman type outdoors guys like Fred Bear and the Wenzels and my dad and even guys like Shockey and um like the kind of the unique group that came along and like forged the path for everyone else. And they were like superheroes to me. And so when I found out we were going to do this with the general, one of my first thoughts was like, I just want to take part in history. Like
Yeah.
I want to be, whether I'm a fly on the wall or a major part of the story, I just I just want to be a part of it. And it has no ego behind it. It's just like I've read so many of the books and the stories and followed this for my whole life. Um I just, it was like, how do I get involved in this? And so and that's as far as I thought it through before we moved forward with that. And I don't think anyone could have anticipated what would come from that and where it would lead from there. But the
Yeah.
crazy
And I
thing is,
mean,
I don't think we're done.
yeah, and all the twists and turns, and how it's kind of trajectory, or how it's kind of altered the trajectory of where this is all going. Complete God thing, and really cool to kind of see it all unfold. I do have two questions for you. One, through all this, you have some new opportunities to where you're going to be able to write in some of these magazines. How
Mhm.
do you compare that, or how do you feel about that, going back to looking at what your dad did and how important he was in history?
Well, that's a big part of the reason that I want to write. Like,
Hmm.
I'll jump out right now and tell you, like, I'm not making a claim that I'm the world's best writer. Um, I enjoy doing it, but um, the written word is obviously a form of art.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, the way the world's going, if like there might be articles that I write that like no one will hardly read because they don't pick up the hard copy stuff. And I'm sure I mean, most of these publications now are digital as well.
Hmm.
um, but it really, again, it's another one of those things that I want to do it because it feels like taking part in the history side of all this. So I'm just
Yeah.
happy to do it, and hopefully it'd be fun to do some more investigative whitetail journalism, like break some stories and stuff that people haven't heard. Um, I mean, we all like the, so and so kills a new buck that's a big buck, and like people are excited to go write that article because it's fresh and new. But I would love to have some stuff to share that, I don't know, is more of like a deep investigative look into something. So we'll see. That's a
Totally.
new thing. I mean, the first article's not even finished yet, but the first one I'm doing is for Whitetail Times, and it's gonna be, I think it's coming out in the end of July or early August is when that article's gonna come out. Um, so that'll be fun. And but yeah, it's kind of like you've seen it, but I have a whitetail sculpture that I've been working on for years. Um, it's just another one of those things that I want. It's a contribution to the story. It's
Yeah.
not me wanting to be an artist or saying that I'm some grand sculptor. And even if like the only people that ever get one are like my friends and family, like that's a bucket list thing that I'm gonna cross off and just
Oh, totally.
say I
I look
finished it.
forward to proudly displaying it in my office.
So once we're done with the film and we close the door on a couple projects, I'm actually going to start sharing that sculpture more with, like, I've never hardly shared it online or anything like that. So we might do a podcast here, and I'll put it on the easel and you know give her a spin.
That'd be
Um,
sweet.
but yeah, that's the same thing behind the writing. It's like, do I think that I'm going to be a career writer that writes thousands of articles? Who knows? Maybe I'll write one, maybe I'll write a dozen, or maybe I'll write two a year. And it's something I just enjoyed doing, and hopefully some folks enjoy reading them. Um, Outside of that, things are looking pretty like virtual, going the other way.
Hmm.
Podcasts, shows, YouTube, stuff like that. But yeah, just wanted to take part in all of it, man.
Yeah. Now, speaking of the shows, I know you'd mentioned, in personal conversations about, younger people coming up to you and looking at you as sharing some of those old stories. Why do you take such a pride in kind of showing that or sharing that and kind of trying to push that into the next generation?
Because I feel like if people don't, it's gonna die.
Yeah,
I feel like, and it's not just me there, but like, I feel like if the history is not protected, if it's not shared, if it's not brought to light, another generation or two down the line, it'll be forgotten.
totally.
And what we're already dealing with right now is that a lot of the stuff that's pre like 1970, there's not a lot of pictures and written stuff and evidence to go off as it is, because
Yeah,
it was the opposite of well documented in most cases. And so I mean, it's a fight even now in this digital era to get enough stuff together to really accurately portray the past in the whitetail world. So the reason it's really important to me is that I think it's going to take the whole community and people who care to keep it alive. And it's not just old pictures and stuff, it's the heritage and everything that goes along with it, like the ethics and the morals that go along with um
hmm
honestly, like, it sounds kind of cheesy, but it was back in those days, it was almost like it's like my grandfather taught me, or my grandfather taught my dad, and my dad taught me, and I taught my kids,
yeah,
type of mentality, and it's passed on. But while my dad was teaching me, my grandfather was also sharing his wisdom, and it's this generational something that's way deeper and more important than just like I filled my tag this year, or I made a video that got 1 million views. It's there's tasteful ways to do that too, but um, what I worry about is that, you know, if someone comes into it right now and goes hunting for the first time right now, they're 18 years old, and nobody else in their family hunts, or they don't have any history of it. Where are they going to find that information, and who are they going to learn from? They're going to go to YouTube, they're going to go to social media, and it's not going to take them long to find kind of the main avenues to view this stuff. Um, and that's why I love guys like Lee Ellis and what he's doing.
totally.
Um, Such a not just a phenomenal hunter, but like an incredible influence, and he's outspoken about his faith and their mission, and but he hunts hard, but he's got such a tremendous respect for the outdoors and the animals that he's pursuing. um, so again, this really isn't about me at all. I just want to play some kind of role in feeding it and keeping it alive. And at these shows, it's actually been super uplifting to see
Hmm.
how many young people have come up. That's the thing I think that I had been like led to believe from feedback from other places, like, hey, the new generations, they don't know the history, they don't know the background, they don't know, man. And like Iowa Deer Classic this year, there was like all the way down to like 5 year olds that came up and they're like, I saw you on the Seek One podcast and the antler episode and working class bow hunter. And remember when you did this and you had this deer and this was there and it was from Illinois in 1972. And I'm like, this is incredible. This is the
Oh yeah,
coolest thing. And or we had like groups of 14, 15, and 16 year olds standing around the general that knew the whole history, and they were having like in a real in-depth conversation about the whole story. I was really uplifted, and it was ray of light that I didn't expect to take away from that show. So um, I'm proud to say that like the history is not dead. It's
Yeah,
just it just needs all the
it needs a platform.
it does.
Yeah. And I think what's really cool about kind of what we're doing and sharing some of these stories, going back to last episode with Perry, hearing the way he'd communicate with your dad and a few other hunters, and how they'd send stacks of photos, a lot of that, like you said, could easily get lost. And, cool thing with the stories that we're telling is, now it'll have a digital footprint that we can go back and look and keep record of. And, it's really cool what you're building and what we're building and kind of establishing a platform to kind of share some of these stories.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. I do, and it's funny. I want to come back and say, obviously, uh, this is episode 3, and Joe is the main producer for the podcast, and all the above, hunting buddy, adventure buddy, everything else, and business partner in several ways. Um, but we knew that where this podcast starts and where it ends up in the near future are two different places. Like right now, we're making some of the initial episodes, and it's like we knew we don't have an official studio yet, and the thought was, it's like, do we wait till everything's perfect to start, or do we just start? And I think the second that we started, we realized that's 1,000% the way. So we might be.
All right. Jumping back into what you were saying,
Yeah, we're gonna edit out.
quite a bit of that.
Yeah, it reminded me of the old ESPN clips of like when someone stumbles and it's like beep beep beep. Anyway, and we're back.
Yeah.
So I think where I was at is like I made my peace with the fact that we might do our first like 30 to 50 episodes like this. And the one thing I do like about this format here is that it allows us to be mobile with it, because we do travel so much. So we'll be
Hmm.
coming at you from some really cool places as well. And obviously, Joe, we'll have to make one again in Colorado this year when we're back there.
Yeah.
Um, you know, we'll make one from Montana next week, maybe one from Texas soon when we're out there. So that part's fun. But like just for the audience, that for those of you that have followed along so far in our very short tenure as a podcast, again being in episode 3, a studio is in the works. And what little, like on my end here, what little you can see in this room is like a snapshot this big of what we actually have
Oh, it's
from the
crazy.
from the collection to put in. And so that's all in the works. And but we're excited to tell some stories. We're excited to bring some awesome guests on here, um, and really just have some fun. So um, I look forward to. We've got a very exciting uh, potential sponsor that, if everything goes the way it's looking like, probably by the next episode we'll share that. But we're really excited about them as well. And man, yeah, Joe, I mean, this one might be a kind of a short and sweet episode. It was we said let's jump on and rap about it. But you have anything else you wanted to cover tonight?
Yeah. I mean, kind of expanding on, offering a platform to share some of these stories. Some of the stories being in the woods. I think it all relates back so nicely to what you and I do in the art world, which is sharing stories. Whether it's from an artist doing plein air in this beautiful spot that they hike to for a full afternoon, or some of the stories that Knox tells through his photography, or some of the stuff that Colt's trying to capture from the American West and the Native Americans. I think that art and the outdoors share this like perfect symmetry, and they allow to just showcase these beautiful stories. So, kind of wrapping it up there, but I think it was a short and sweet podcast, but kind of touched on a little bit about what we do, outside of the hunting world. Um, but yeah, I thought it was a nice little chat.
Yeah. Well, and what I'll close on there is just to continue with what you just said. What's cool about telling those stories and sharing that stuff is we're gonna be able to actually show everyone watching.
Yeah,
We're not gonna just talk about those. I understand that it may not be the easiest thing if you're not in the art world, to listen to the back end stories as just like the verbal oral story, but like we'll actually do some episodes from these places, from some of these art shows and behind the scenes, and a few of the like private studios, and get to actually kind of see how it's done type of thing.
yeah.
So um anyway, yeah, I hope
Oh,
everybody
and
enjoy.
one other cool thing that we have coming that Cody can attest to more than that. We have a new artist that we'll be showcasing either a weekly or a biweekly piece from. So, Cody, if you want to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I won't even drop like the name and information yet because it's actually a kind of a cool deal. It's more like it's not like a Banksy thing, but he's a private guy, so
Elusive.
very elusive. But the artwork is super cool, and I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it. So we'll have a full episode on that just to kind of introduce how that's going to work. And um,
And very
but
centered in the whitetail space. So, kind of a
yes,
cool way of bridging the two.
yep, absolutely, absolutely. Well, heck yeah, man. Well, here's to a short and sweet episode, and then by the next one, we'll be back to having a featured guest on here. So, um, thanks again, Joe, and I hope everybody enjoyed this one, and we will see you guys next time.
Sounds good. Cheers, y'all.